Ladies and gentlemen, the Raiders finally broke Davante Adams. This is the most frustrated he's been since shoving a cameraman in Kansas City last year. Josh McDaniels' offense is somehow the worst in the NFL, the only team to score less than 21 points in every single game this year. The NFL world is asking, when will Mark Davis finally put this to an end? And if Josh McDaniels is gonna stay, when are the Raiders gonna free players like Hunter Renfrow and Davante Adams, two great wide receivers who had a great relationship with former scapegoat Derek Carr? Davante Adams' camp told the Raiders, hey, can I be traded? So he is trying to leave. Despite the fact that he says all these nice things, Davante Adams is trying to leave this team. Josh McDaniels is a disease that is spreading around and infecting Raider Nation. We're gonna break down this tragedy and figure out if there's a way out. Like and subscribe for more content from me, Wi-Fi Willie. The week started out great. Josh McDaniels had an open team meeting with the players so they could have a heart-to-heart and vent to him about what's going down, even if it's about him.
Josh McDaniels, I'm told, opened the floor in a team meeting on Thursday to players, allowing them to voice all the frustrations that at times have bubbled over publicly during the team's 3-4 start.
So obviously the Josh McDaniels team meeting didn't amount to shit. Let me guess, he was able to see who complains about him and develop his hit list on who to bench next week. And Raiders Hall of Famers were speaking out about this game. The GOAT Tim Brown said he can't remember the last time he intentionally didn't watch the end of a Raiders game. Tonight was too tough to watch, not because he's embarrassed, but I feel their pain. Literally, this is not a situation that can be talked out of. You gotta play your way out. Even the GOAT, Tim Brown, could not watch the rest of this horrible performance. Charles Woodson himself was saying, please make it stop. Woodson also said that Davante Adams, after all this, is allowed to say whatever he wants. Rich Gannon, who said that Jimmy G would be an upgrade over Derek Carr and is always saying that Josh McDaniels is just a great head coach. Well, he seems to be eating his words now, saying that when they are that wide open, you have to hit them. Sorry, Rich Gannon, that you're really jealous that Derek Carr broke a lot of those records, but it seems like you're just playing nice to McD so you could be allowed in the facility. There was a hilarious moment in this game with this woman right here who shoved the boyfriend out of the way to get a little grabby and a little gropey with Jamar Gibbs here. And what was the most hilarious is you saw the hump, you saw the little leg go up right there, the little leg hump right there. Uh-oh, that's not PG. And what was so funny is after Gibbs left, she tried to still hug up on boyfriend here. She still tried to hug up and say, oh, it's okay, sweetie. Oh, it's okay, sweetie. I'm sorry, lady. We all saw what you did live on TV. The Raiders defense actually made plays in this game. They held the Lions to 3 points 3 times in the red zone. Great red zone defense, and also forced some turnovers. You had Masterson force a fumble. Spillane recovered in this game, and it made you think, do the Raiders have a shot? Are the Raiders gonna upset the Detroit Lions on national television? But then literally the very next play after the Masterson Spillane fumble, well, the Raiders gave it right back. The very next play, Jimmy G trying to air it out the best he can, and boom, an interception in the end zone, immediately deflating any type of morale the Raiders could have had. And by the way, that pass was intended for Davante Adams. Despite the horrible performance by the offense, before this drive late in the second quarter, they had only had 31 yards of total offense. This is 2:59 in the second quarter. Josh Jacobs took over a drive, 7 carries for 38 yards, and was able to punch it in for the touchdown. And this would be the only offensive touchdown of the day for the Raiders, and it was not thanks to that passing game that Genius Josh is supposed to be all on top of. It was because of Josh Jacobs and his incredible effort. Josh Jacobs was a man whose 5th-year option was declined in 2022. Then after leading the NFL in rushing yards, the Raiders tried to play hardball with this guy. Didn't even offer him a contract for the longest time, and then eventually tagged him. He held out. And so when he's asked these tough questions, when he's asked to defend Josh McDaniels in a lot of ways, he ain't gonna do it. And he was asked, hey, how can this offense be sparked going forward? And he gave a really funny response, which is, I don't know, that ain't my job.
I don't know, that ain't my job.
I don't know, that ain't my job. Does this seem like a guy who's stoked to be where he's at right now? We mentioned earlier the Raiders defense was making plays, and even Marcus Peters, who everyone tried to criticize last week, got a freaking pick six. The offense can't score, so Marcus Peters had to be the one to score, scoring one of the only touchdowns the Raiders had in this game. It ended up being 14 points total for the Raiders. This was the second touchdown, and it's so sad. The Raiders forced so many turnovers, but the offense ultimately held them back. Hunter Renfrow's been on the trade block and was obviously barely utilized, and RG3 was even saying it today on Twitter. What in the world is Josh McDaniels doing with Hunter Renfrow? You're telling me you can't find a place for him in your offense? The same offense that had Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman, but you can't figure out how to use Hunter Renfrow in the slot? The Raiders did try to use Hunter Renfrow very late in the game. They finally decided to do it, and Vic Tafur from The Athletic making the joke that third and Renfrow doesn't work on 3rd and 28, and that is when the Raiders decided to finally utilize the guy. You have to feel for all these players, Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and you got this meme here from Nemo Nobody. Davante Adams right now is laying in bed looking at a picture of what he expected to happen when he joined the Raiders in 2022. Ingenious Josh gave his expert analysis on the game, man.
We have to be able to produce more points in order to win games in this league, and right now we're not doing that. And so,
oh my goodness, he figured it out. We're gonna have to produce more points in order to win games in this league. Wow. Josh McDaniels has finally smartened up, and Josh McDaniels is the problem. Jimmy Garoppolo is getting roasted here. Everybody's talking about that, but Josh McDaniels is the constant, whether it be Derek Carr, Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, Jimmy Garoppolo, no matter what. It doesn't work right now with him as head coach, but this is absolutely hilarious here, this stat. The fact that Jimmy Garoppolo's first 6 starts with the Raiders are as bad and maybe even worse than Jamarcus Russell. He has barely 200 more yards than Jamarcus Russell, 2 more touchdowns, but he's thrown 6 more picks than Jamarcus Russell's first 6 starts, and also a similar completion percentage, up 10%, and similar passer rating. I cannot believe that we have Jamarcus Russell 2.0 with Josh McDaniels at the helm. Josh McDaniels literally turns everybody into a first-round draft pick bust. Jimmy Garoppolo threw 3 picks in that Steelers game. Keep in mind, he hadn't thrown 3 picks in a single game since 2018 with the Niners against the Vikings. So literally, he's having unprecedented lows with Genius Josh. A lot of people were speaking out about Davante Adams. This is where we get into the real meat on the bone, man. RG3 saying that the Raiders should do Davante Adams a solid and trade him. He deserves it. He came there to play for his favorite team, and they got rid of the QB that he came there to play with, Derek Carr, and he had 1 catch tonight. Don't subject him to any more of this dysfunction. That is absolutely true, man. The guy only had 1 catch for 10 yards on prime time. Absolutely embarrassing. Keep in mind, according to Jordan Schultz, Davante Adams' camp spoke to the Raiders earlier this month. Davante Adams' camp told the Raiders, hey, can I be traded? So he is trying to leave. Despite the fact that he says all these nice things, Davante Adams is trying to leave this team, has been trying to leave this team, but the Raiders made it clear that they will not trade him. And it's insane that this really slipped through the cracks and nobody reported this. And when you're not traded, when you're held hostage by a team, despite the fact that you want out because they tricked you into coming here, they said Carr was part of the plan, and then that ended up not being part of the plan. Well, you had Davante Adams after the game, man. And honestly, this made me feel bad for the guy, but I want you guys to put on your lip-reading caps here to figure out what Davante Adams was saying here right after the game, 3:29, when it's pretty much over because the Raiders are down 2 possessions. Davante Adams slams the freaking helmet right here, absolutely pissed off, cannot stand it. He is sitting by himself, and then what does he say right there? I want you guys to read these lips. Tired of this effing BS? Is that what he says? Tired of this effing BS? Tired of this effing BS? A lot of people said, guy is such a effing B? Is that what he's saying? Guy is such a effing B? You could read it any way you want it. Guy is such a effing B. Tired of this effing BS. But either way, there's a lot of B's and a lot of F's in this statement. And after the game, Davante Adams was so pissed off that he didn't even want to freaking talk. He didn't even want to give a freaking answer.
Honestly, I don't know what to say at this moment. I truly don't. I wish I had the words to say something that's not going to get blown up in the media and taken out of context.
So Davante Adams doesn't want to say anything. He doesn't want more drama. He knows anything he says is going to get blown up, and he just seems Sad. And of course you're going to be sad if you're Davante Adams. Not only are you not winning games, but Davante Adams, according to ESPN, has 142 receiving yards over the past 4 games, and that is his fewest in a 4-game span since 2015, his second year in the league. Really unprecedented lows for Davante Adams. I really wish Mark Davis would just get rid of this guy, Josh McDaniels, and let him go. It didn't work out. You gave him full control of the team. He's had 2 off seasons to get it done. He cannot build relationships with players, and he somehow cannot get his offense to score, despite the fact that they're spending so much cash on it, despite the fact that he has Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, and Jacoby Myers, and a hand-picked quarterback who he selected in free agency, Jimmy Garoppolo, and a backup quarterback who he signed in free agency in Brian Hoyer, and a rookie quarterback who he drafted in the 4th round, traded up to draft in Aiden O'Connell. So I don't know what more excuses we can make for this guy. Maybe Mark Davis is cheap, maybe Mark Davis just doesn't give a shit, or he really believes in Genius Josh. After all, last year, he said he was doing a fantastic job after losing to Jeff Saturday. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I don't have faith in Mark Davis. I don't believe he's going to do what's right. We're going to pray and hope Mark Davis lives up to his dad's name and pulls out the projector, and we'll keep you up to date with everything going on with the Raiders. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.